To support this Wild World podcast, please check out Autio. It's an app that gives you amazing stories told by some of the world's best storytellers, such as John Lithgow, Phil Jackson, and Kevin Costner, and it's uniquely curated based on your location. It's a perfect audio travel companion for any road trip or just learning more about a trip you want to take. Click on the link in our show notes for more information.
Our world is filled with all sorts of wildlife. But in many places, wild animals are being threatened by human activity. What happens if wild animals disappear? How would the loss of species that have survived on our planet for thousands or even millions of years affect not only the natural world, but also us humans?
Madagascar is an island of lemurs. I don't mean say that Madagascar is just important for the lemurs, but it's an island of the lemurs. If the lemurs are no longer in Madagascar, Madagascar will drastically lose money. That means poverty, and if you are poor, that will create many social problems. So that will affect straight away your economy.
This is Wild World. I'm Scott Solomon, and today we're venturing to a place with some of the most unique and threatened wildlife on Earth. The animated film series Madagascar tells the story of a group of lovable animals from a zoo in New York City who escape from the zoo and find themselves on the island of Madagascar, where, spoiler alert, they discover that nature is a lot wilder and more dangerous than they had imagined. In real life, Madagascar is indeed home to some incredible wildlife. Many of the animals in Madagascar occur nowhere else on Earth. Among them are lemurs, a group of primates that resemble monkeys, but are in fact their own distinct group. But unfortunately, these remarkable animals are facing enormous challenges, far worse in many ways than the plight of the fictional animals from the movie series. My guest today is a primatologist who is from Madagascar and is considered one of the world's experts on lemurs and is helping lead the fight to protect them. Dr. Jonah Ratsimbazafy is the president of the International Primatological Society and was a co-founder and president of the Madagascar Primate Study and Research Group at the University of Antananarivo, which goes by the acronym GERP, or GERP. He's a member of the African Academy of Sciences and a National Geographic Explorer. He also works with our friends at the Houston Zoo as director of their in-country Madagascar program. Jonah Ratsimbazafy, it's such an honor to welcome you to Wild World. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure to be here. Wonderful. Thank you for inviting me.
So let's talk a little bit about Madagascar, your home. So Madagascar is home to an incredible amount of biodiversity. Some 90% of its species are endemic, meaning they're found nowhere else on Earth. Why is Madagascar such a biodiversity hotspot?
Very, very good question. You know what? Madagascar, to make a long story short, Madagascar was broken free from the massland of Gondwana 200 million years ago. 85 million years ago, Madagascar is already an island, which means that Madagascar is not connected anymore with India, but Madagascar is alone. And that is why the plants and the animals in Madagascar during that period of time have evolved isolatedly from the rest of the world. That is why we have this high endemism of plants and animals in Madagascar. And endemism is always high in highland and in island. And that is Madagascar, makes Madagascar unique.
Do you have a favorite place in Madagascar?
Well, I was born in the capital in Antananarivo, but right now my home is the forest. And it's hard to say. Of course, when I did my PhD research in the forest of Manumbu in the southeast of Madagascar, I spent many years in the forest, but I spent also lots of time with the local community. So that makes me, very, very attached to the animals, to the plants, and also to the people in the area. But anyway, right now we are working in many places, and that is my job, because there are lemurs in forest, and I am their protector, so I have to visit them. I'm happy to see them.
What is it like to walk through a forest in Madagascar? Can you describe what the experience is like?
The big difference for Madagascar's forest is we do not have any poisonous animals.
That's nice.
And we don't have to worry about being attacked by big cats. You don't have to worry about killed by poisonous snakes or poisonous frogs. You are set if you want to do research wherever you are. And that is interesting, because if you go to Africa, if you go to Asia, you go to South America, there are poisonous animals, but not Madagascar. And the question is, why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
Why? Well, I assume that how Madagascar was formed, maybe when Madagascar is already broken free from the continent of Africa. Because if you look at the snakes of Madagascar reptile, it's much more, it's closer to the reptiles or snakes of South America. And that makes something to think of. How is the different time that Madagascar, the different time that how the Gondwana was broken free. We knew that 200 million years ago, Madagascar, that was opening of the Mozambique Channel. And then Madagascar was still connected with Australia, with India. But that is for that we need to look at paleontology records to reconstruct the history, how the different periods of time to make Madagascar unique, and why there is no poisonous. And that is still some kind of things that we need to investigate. Because an example, in non-human primates, males are always dominant other females. But it is the opposite on lemurs. Females are dominant. And the question is, why is that? In most non-human primates, there is what we call sexual dimorphism. Males are much bigger than the females.
Yeah.
For on lemurs, that's not true. They have the same body mass. There's difference on colors, but not on body mass. So that is makes Madagascar unique to the rest of the world.
That's very interesting. So for those of us who, like me, I've never been to Madagascar. I think for many of us who have never
Please
been,
come.
I would love to come. Thank you so much. I hope I can come sometime soon. But I think, for those of us that only have read about it or seen it on, nature documentaries or something like that, I think we often associate Madagascar with wildlife and with wilderness. And as you've been saying, there is amazing wildlife. But there's also, something like 17 million people living in Madagascar, right? And much of the
27 million of people.
27 million people,
Yes,
thank you.
yeah.
So 27 million people living in Madagascar, and a lot of the natural environment has been lost to agriculture
Exactly.
or other uses. So
Yeah.
how much of the natural environment is left, and is it well protected?
From the beginning, Madagascar, right now we have less than 10% of the original forest. And why is that? Especially during the last 5 decades, we have lost lots of forest. Within the next 35 years, if the current speed of deforestation remains the same, there is no forest left in Madagascar. And 35 years, that is tomorrow. Like, for example, only on 2017, Madagascar lost more than 500,000 hectares of forest.
That's a lot.
That's really a lot. And that is why we have to work quick, because the next 10 years will be crucial for Madagascar, which means that we have to work on the right project, the right people, everything has to be the right. Otherwise, it is too late. And you know what? Madagascar, we have already lost 15 species of lemurs, many giant tortoises. And now Madagascar, despite of the fact that Madagascar is only 0.4% of the planet. Of course, 5% of the Madagascar biodiversity is unique. 95% of them are not endemic to Madagascar. But 90% of our lemurs are on the brink of extinction. We have Madagascar, despite of the fact that the Madagascar is the size of course, it is the fourth largest oceanic island, but it is 2% of Africa, the size of continent of Africa. But it's a rich country, but because of traditional agriculture system, the slash and burn agriculture, they're also hunting, mining. So Madagascar is really threatened to lose its unique biodiversity. But I don't lose hope. That's what I would like to stress, and that is why I'm here. That's why I have to work very hard, because I think myself, but I am the voice of those who have no voice, and those are the lemurs. But I cannot do that by myself. I need you. We need to have to work together, because conservation is collective task, which demands the involvement of all of us.
Let's talk a little bit about lemurs. So,
yes,
lemurs are primates, right? But they're not.
It's non-human primates.
Non-human primates.
Pro-simians. Pro means before, simians means monkey. So the ancestors of the lemurs appeared before the ancestors of the monkey. That is why we do not have monkey in Madagascar.
So they're not monkeys. They're prosimians.
They are prosimians.
But they have some similarities to monkeys?
Of course, they have. If you look at the social organization, the behavior, like monkeys, they are, some species eat fruits, some species eat leaves, some eat some fruits, some leaves, nectar, small vertebrates, which means they're omnivore. That is the difference between monkeys and lemurs are the size. Prosimians are small. And the largest living lemurs is the Indri. It is about 15 pounds. But the extinct lemurs weigh up to 400 pounds, even more.
Wow.
Bigger than the gorilla.
Yeah.
But they're lemurs, but they no longer exist. If this gorilla is 160 kilos, that's like 300 pounds, and lemurs are much more than that, the Archaeoindris. But currently the biggest primates are the gorilla, and the smallest is the mouse lemur in Madagascar. So in terms of comparison between monkeys and lemurs are small, like the other prosimians. Yeah.
How many species of lemurs are there?
Up to now, there are 112 different species of lemurs, and that is 20% of the world non-human primates. And the last new discovered lemurs is named after me. It is mouse lemur of Jonah, so it's an honor to have been a lemur on your name on a new species that was discovered in 2020. So thanks to the international researchers to give the name of the lemurs to the little Jonah.
I think that's Microcebus jonai, is that right?
Yes, exactly. It's discovered in the North Manor Park. It is in the park, but it was found in a very disturbed habitat already. So now the question is, how can we save them? Because I remember 2007, we discovered new species of mouse lemurs, and 3 years later, the forests were converted into cassava field.
Oh.
So you discovered new species today, and tomorrow the species gone. So that is what we say, conservation is a collective task. We discovered today, and let the other people do the work by working in the field, to education, and this just to make the goal is saving them from extinction for the next generation, and that's what you're working on now. Yes.
Well, I was going to ask you if you have a favorite species of lemur, but maybe it's the mouse lemur species that's named for you, or do you have another one that has a special place in your heart?
I have spent lots of time studying the black and white ruffed lemurs, which is the most fruit eaters lemurs because more than 70% of its diet is composed by fruits. So it's the most seed dispersers among the lemurs. So I studied them so long, and they're so pretty, black and white, very, very pretty. I love all lemurs, of course, and I am their father. I am their protector, but that species, I love it. And, well, many people love also the ring-tailed lemurs.
Sure.
And that is, if you look at the Madagascar logo or different organization, association, use ring-tailed lemurs for their logo. And here in the States or in Europe, many zoos have ring-tailed lemurs, and they're cute, very, very social group, and they're cute.
This is Wild World. After the break, we'll hear about how Jonah Ratsimbazafy began his career working with Madagascar's lemurs. Hi, I'm Scott Solomon. You know, as a scientist and world traveler, I spend a lot of time on the road. And I wanted to share with you an app that can make that time more exciting, educational, and more interactive than your typical audiobook or podcast. Except for this one, of course. It's called Audio. That's AUTIO. And what it does is it uses GPS to follow your location, and then it gives you audio stories about the places that you're driving by. These stories are told by some of the best storytellers out there, like John Lithgow, Phil Jackson, Kevin Costner, and many others. The stories are short, usually about 3 to 5 minutes long, and they play for you as you drive. Or, if you prefer, you can plan a road trip and then find stories about those places to inspire you before you leave. And Audio's library of stories celebrate every voice and perspective. Rooted in curiosity, the storytelling embraces the diversity of cultures, people, and places that you discover along your travels, just like we do here on Wild World. Stories are updated and added every week, so no two journeys are ever the same. Now you can check out the Audio app through a link on our website, wildworldshow.com, or in the podcast show notes. And by doing so, you'll also help our podcast to continue to bring you explorations of the natural wonders of the world and the voices of the people who explore, study, and protect them. Welcome back. I'm speaking with Dr. Jonah Ratsimbazafy about his work to study and protect lemurs in his home country of Madagascar. What makes lemurs special?
What makes lemurs special? We have 112 different species of lemurs, different kinds, which means that different behavior, different types of locomotion, different size, different food, but they're nice. None of them attacked. Well, they're small, but lemurs are very, very gentle, and they are. I always kept saying, Madagascar, we do not have Eiffel Tower. We do not have Statue of Liberty. We do not have Egypt Pyramid. We do not have the Wall of China, but we have lemurs. And the tourists, if they want to come to Madagascar, of course, they want to see the lemurs and to see the baobab. We have baobab, 6 different species of baobab, a huge and very beautiful trees. But if you can go back to lemurs are very friendly, cute, beautiful. I don't know if you have seen the movie Zubumafu. They are pretty. They are very gentle.
They are. Yeah, they are. And, they're adorable. Yeah.
Adorable. And they are the tourist attraction for Madagascar. So you want to have them, to keep them. So Madagascar can really be progress by just developing its ecotourism, because people, I kept saying, Christian people, once in their life, they want to go to Jerusalem. I want to go to Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. I'm Christian, but I haven't been there yet. And the Muslim people, they want to go to Mecca,
right.
Mecca, mm-hmm. Yeah. And for nature lovers, they want to see Madagascar once in their lifetime. Yeah. Because it's unique.
It's a sort of almost like a pilgrimage, you're saying, right? It's exactly. Like the place to go if you want to experience
and
wilderness and wildlife.
I kept saying, for me, lemurs is not just something to attract in, very nice, very cute. But for me, if you believe on what we called musicotherapy, which means that the music helping curing people when they're sick, when they're stressed, and there are people like if I need stones, and that is called lithotherapy.
Lithotherapy,
right. Jonah, yeah. I believe on what you called lemurotherapy. If I am stressed, I want to see the lemurs, and I am fine. I am relieved. My stress is gone.
Wow.
So I have to fight to save my therapy, my lemur. Because they are my lemur, they are my friend, and they cure me, they are my therapy. So that is what people to feel too, that lemurs, in addition to spread seeds over the forest for millions of years, free. Right now we do reforestation without guarantee, but the trees will grow. But the lemurs have done that for free by eating the fruits, because some of the trees, some of the plants, the seeds need to go through their gut in order to germinate faster. And if they no longer are there, who's going to do that job? Of course. And that is what you call ecological services, free for us in addition to tourist attractions. So the lemurs today in Madagascar, we celebrate the World Lemur Day in Madagascar. And people celebrate the World Lemur Day because it's unique for us. Yeah, we don't have lemurs are the goose laying the golden eggs for Madagascar.
So the lemurs are playing an important role for the local economy of Madagascar.
Exactly,
but as you said, they're also playing an important ecological role in the environment.
That's it. Yep.
And you said they're helping to spread seeds. So the trees
for free.
Right,
right now we spend lots of money to do reforestation, but there's no guarantee. So lemurs do that for us free. Yep.
Do you think that people understand lemurs? Are there misconceptions that people have? Do they have wrong ideas about lemurs when you talk to people?
Well, the Malagasy, many of the Malagasy, even they are Christian, they are animist. Sometimes they believe on something. And I am sad to say that the Ayai is the largest nocturnal lemurs, of about 7 pounds.
That's the one with the long finger, right?
The finger is very long. People think that it's a bad omen, and that is still up to date, and that belief is throughout the country. And you know what? That is, we have the project of changing the behavior of the people. But Aya is our friend. Aya can bring us money. Like, look at Duke. They have Aya at Jersey, and Aya there's a zoo in Madagascar. People want to see Aya. But people think that, okay, if you see an Aya, something bad will happen either to you or to your family, to your village. So that means that you have to kill it.
Wow.
And that is still, and we have a project, maybe 3 years now, to work on, try to change people's behavior. Because it is like in the past, because Aya has these big eyes, big ears, kind of, for people who are not primatologists or not animal lover, it's kind of weird. For me, it's beautiful animals. It's unique. But for some people, it is like going at night. It's a bad animals. It's if you see it, it's something bad will happen to you. It's a bad omen, which is not true. So but the largest lemurs injury, people considered it to their ancestors, because even the Malagasy name is Baba Kutu. Baba means daddy, and Kutu is a little boy. So the lemurs injury is the father of the little boy. Once upon a time, the little boy was in the forest, and the grandparents of the little boy, and he was almost died, and the injury saved him, the grandfather. And from that time, the grandfather said that I tell my generation not to kill. He's the one who fed me, so he's my father, he's my dad. So that is we call Baba Kutu, the father of Kutu. Kutu, little boy, Bab is the father. And there is also another species in the west, Propithecus coronatus, that people consider as their ancestors. So it's like some lemurs people consider as a bad. And like, for example, the owl too. Here at Rice University, I can see the big statue of owl, and the same for in Germany, because it's one of the most clever animals. But in Madagascar, it's considered as a bad animal because it goes at night. So that kind of belief, all the belief, need to be changed. Anyway, that is what makes, if something is related to culture, it's not easy. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It is possible, and that's what you're going to do now. And what we're talking about the World Lemur Festival. That is an old belief, but that needs to be changed.
What was your childhood like? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the capital of Madagascar, Antananarivo. And to make a long story short, why I became the animal lover, because when we were kids, we were connected to animals because of my grandparents. So they raised chicken. And each of my siblings, my brothers and my sister, we have each of us our chicken. And every time when we visited our grandparents, we feed our chicken. And when they come to visit us, like I ask, how is my chicken? Is it okay? Is it? And that was one way of making us connected to animals first. It's chicken. And our parents brought us to visit the zoo too. We saw the lemurs, but we thought that, lemurs at that time, we were kids, are like dogs or like cats, but they are very fast jumping on the trees. I only knew, but lemurs are unique to Madagascar when I was a student at the university.
So you didn't know that as a kid?
I didn't know as a kid. And you can imagine more than 50% of the Malagasy cannot read, cannot write. And that makes do they know the value of this richness? Many people don't know. People think that, okay, it's like cat or dog, but they just live in the forest. And that is teaching people, making them proud. This ownership of you are lucky. And that is what you want to develop, ecotourism, to teach them to love what they have in the backyard. So that is still something that we do. You cannot save a species if people don't know the value. If they know the value, if you teach them. So that is, and teaching the people, non-scholar people, it is a different story, but that is possible. And that is our job, and that is my job right now, in addition to my faculty teacher position, and that is my job.
So when you were a kid, you had this connection to animals because of the chickens that you grew up around, and I guess seeing animals in the zoo.
Yes.
When did you decide that you wanted to become a scientist and to work to protect animals?
When I went to the university, I chose the field of natural science. And there are different departments. There are geology, there are biochemistry, there are botany. But I chose the field, the anthropology. And when I filled that department, I met with people here from the U.S. There are paleontologists. My background is paleontology, by the way. And then we went to the field digging fossils, searching fossil. And then on the way to the site, we passed through forest, and I saw snares, traps. And we saw lemurs dead, caught on the snares. And I said, okay, listen, the dead one can wait under the ground until I am ready to come back. Let's save the living ones because this is much more urgent. So I switch from fossil to study the living lemurs. And then I got the opportunity to come to the United States of Stony Brook. I was at Stony Brook in Long Island in New York. And of course, we are with people having the same feeling. That helped me to learn more and more and to love them. So it is a success story, has its beginning. You have this animal love, but somebody needs to show, to teach, and I learned from those people that the primates is one of the most endangered mammals in our century. So let's work together. Let's save them. And right now, I am glad to say that I didn't know that before. In addition to my position as the president of the Madagascar non-human primates, I am the first African president of the International Primatological Society, which means that my job is concerned all primates all over the world, not just the lemurs. So my dream comes true. My job is now worldwide to talk with scientists, to work with conservationists all around the world. And that is my job. And I would like to say that this year, the International Primatological Society Congress was held in Malaysia, in Kuching, and 2025 it will be in Madagascar, and that will be the end of my presidency, my role as a president of the IPS. So I would like to invite you to come to see the lemurs in their natural habitat. That's the only place that you can see that.
Oh, I would love to. That sounds incredible. You're listening to Wild World. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the ways that Jonah Ratsimbazafy is working with both international organizations and local communities in Madagascar to help protect and conserve endangered wildlife.
To support this Wild World podcast, please check out Autio. It's an app that gives you amazing stories told by some of the world's best storytellers, such as John Lithgow, Phil Jackson, and Kevin Costner, and it's uniquely curated based on your location. It's a perfect audio travel companion for any road trip or just learning more about a trip you want to take. Click on the link in our show notes for more information.
We're back. My guest is Malagasy primatologist and conservation pioneer, Dr. Jonah Ratsimbazafy. You know, it's interesting to me that it sounds like you said when you went to Stony Brook to study at the university in New York, that kind of gave you this international perspective on how special Madagascar and its lemurs are. Did you always know that you wanted to return to Madagascar?
You know what? 2014, I got a green card. I applied for a green card in Madagascar. And the last interview at the American Embassy, I decided at the last, minute that I said, well, I really would love United States is my second home. That's true. I've been here having many friends, my host family, many of my dear friends, but my dad was just alone. My mom already passed away 2009, and my brother married, my sister is married, so who's going to stay with my dad? So I decided to stay, which is a very, very tough decision because if I just look at myself, I decided, of course, I was in the States before, I've been here, I have many friends, and then I decided to stay to Madagascar because I would like to make the challenge. And that's what I learned from you here in the States. When I come to the States, it's about for this trip. My battery is almost flat, but now my battery is fully charged. So I'm ready to go back to Madagascar because I just feel charge my battery here, recharge my battery to go back to work in Madagascar, to face the real world again.
Well, what is it about visiting the United States that recharges your batteries?
Of course, if I come here, I meet with my friends. And on my way here, I was in Dakar to give the closing speech of the 35th colloque of the Société Francophone de Primatologie. It's a Francophone society as a president of the IPS. And for this year, I am the 2023 Psychology Award. I win the Psychology Award. So I got my prize in Berkeley. So that is one of the reasons when I come here. And as a Houston Zoo Madagascar program director, we had a meeting, the Houston Zoo had a meeting with their international partners, and I also got a scholarship to come to Rice University from Dr. Amy Dunham, and very pleased to meet with the faculty like you, Dr. Scott, to meet with the other faculty, and that's making me, because we are thinking to how can we make this relationship, this study abroad program, and this working together with Rice University, the zoo, and GERP, my association in Madagascar. I am from the University of Antananarivo. How can we work together? And that is from my talk, like the power of partnership, because usually, sometimes, as researchers, we want to solve the problem ourselves, but we can't. You can't. Of course, we are researchers, and every time when I give a speech to researchers, okay, listen, are there poachers here? There's no poachers in the room. Are there authority, ministry in the room? No. But we want to solve the problem. You are just one part of the big picture. So what should you do? But you solve the problem. You cannot solve it by yourself. So the solution is what we call collective intelligence. Bring everyone to sit around the table and let's talk. And we can do that because you cannot do it just ourselves. I am researchers discovering new species. That's my job. And then who is going to educate the community? Somebody else can do it. And you have a different talent, like drawing, photos, talking to the little children, to educating people. And this is kind of different skills that I may not have. And that is why conservation is a collective task. But in a country like Madagascar, conservation is always difficult when people get little access to food, little access to health care, and little access to education. We have the saying, starving stomach has no ears. If people are poor, where can I find food for my children? That is what their problem is, not your frogs, not your chameleons, not your lemurs. How can I feed my children? And they are worried about their children's future. And that is when we started to work with the local community in Madagascar. Trust me that the first 3 years was a nightmare. People think that you are there to steal their land. How can I believe that you are there to help me? Everybody told that before, and then they steal our land. So what we did was we worked with them and helped them to have legal land ownership. So that was the foundation. Once they believe that the land belongs to us, everything that we do on the development project, boom, as a result, during the last 7 years, 0 fire, 0 pressure, 0, 0, 0, but the forest is covered. And I'm now happy, thinking of the past and now. So your hard work is always paid someday. And that's what you need, this collaboration, partnership, and you should have this power of the listening. You have to listen. What? Because Usually when you as a researcher, you said, this is the capacity building that we should do. That is your idea, but they may have different ideas of what means capacity building. Like in Lacalota, for example, the farmer said that, okay, you want to save these lemurs, why don't you move them to that forest and put them all there? It doesn't work like that. But that's what they want to suggest. Let them talk. And then you have to explain that, it doesn't work like that. They need forests, they need they may have this problem of inbreeding. They don't care of your inbreeding problem. They don't, and that is what you need to sit, to listen, to talk, and make them proud of having that by developing ecotourism so they can get money through carbon, selling the carbon. Because everybody talk, okay, selling carbon, but what is that? You ask, and people are not dumb. If they can get direct benefits by saving the forest, by selling the carbon, and if you build a school, hospital, why do they have to destroy the forest? Because that's for their future. But people sometimes just make empty promises, but nothing happens, and they are poor. So they go to the forest to harvest because they want to feed their children. And that is something that we have to think about and never give up. That is what my motivation. Yep.
So as you say, you're working closely with these local communities to partly to educate them, but also to empower them to
exactly
to have ownership of their land.
Exactly.
And you've talked about how the future of the lemurs and the future of children in Madagascar, they're connected, right? Those futures are connected.
Exactly. They can live in harmony. Yeah, I believe on that. And in some area, it works. The kids learn about lemurs at school. And this is what I say. If Marmisa is a good example of the involvement of the local community and the local authority, if that is possible in Marmisa is a small forest, why not to the other sites in Madagascar to use the same model? Why not to use the same model in Africa, in Asia, in South America? Because the problem is almost the same. So that is, as a president of the International Primatological Society, that is what I would like to do, to replicate the successful story in a different places. Because usually government people is not always collaborative. And when you do reforestation, for example, people should have in their mind, of course, our ancestors destroyed the forest. But now let's do reforestation to repair the damage of our ancestors for our next generation. That is what you use for reforestation, rather than blaming the ancestors. They're already gone. They will never come back. So let's repair their damage. That's what you can do.
And so you've had these successes in these local projects where you've been working, as you said. What do you think it is about those projects that has made them successful?
Yeah, well, I'm not blaming anybody, but the thing is, usually there are some big company or big organization. They have lots of money, but that doesn't mean that the project is successful. You can have lots of money, but you don't build the foundation to the people. What means foundation? The trust. Usually after those big NGO or big organization leave, people back again to what they have done before, deforestation. Because that is what we did. We built the foundation first. We need money, but build the foundation at the same time.
Building trust with the community, with the local people.
Exactly, and the ownership. And this is what we would like to do, for example, for Marmisa. We don't think to stay there forever. If everything is fine, the local community can manage the forest by themselves, we will move. Because there are still lots of places, sites that needs us. But that model needs to be replicated in many places. The goal is, this is unique patrimony for the world. We are blessed to be in Madagascar, but the problem is we are responsible. These are the saying, before man, forest, after man, the desert. And we can change this. And behavior change is not always easy, but it's possible. And that is what we would like to do together, this collective intelligence everybody need to work together to make the change. Like look at Costa Rica. It's a small country in Central America. Costa Rica is not big. And if you compare the biodiversity of Costa Rica and Madagascar, Costa Rica is nothing. I mean, I'm not saying nothing, but they only have how many species of primates. But Madagascar is a big country, 5,000 kilometers. 5,000, is that like 3,500 miles, maybe?
Of coastline?
Of coastline, yeah. And Costa Rica, just 1 year, they get $1.9 billion just for ecotourism. Madagascar, we have the forest, we have the mining, gold, sapphire. You don't have to touch the mines underneath, but just having a good governance of ecotourism, we can have a better life. It is sad to say that Madagascar is among the poorest countries in the world, and that is because of bad management. And we do not value education, and that is the solution is there. But we need a powerful government to make value to our biodiversity, to education. Educate your people, and that is possible. Rather than importing everything. And right now, the sad thing is like the student, when they got their degree in high school, they want to leave Madagascar, to live in the state, in Europe, outside of the country. No, Madagascar is rich. Madagascar is diverse. And we are lucky we have one language spoke throughout the country. Of course, French is also a language but Malagasy, we have one language. And that diversity should be a strength rather than weakness. Yeah.
And so you've been, as you say, critical of Madagascar's government, and that's led to some threats against you, as I understand it. Why do you think it's so important to speak out about policies when it can be, dangerous to you personally?
If you remember the rosewood, that was a few years ago during the transition after the coup. The rosewood in Madagascar was really, one of the biggest problems for conservation, because China is the first country get the illegal rosewood of Madagascar.
This is a kind of wood that naturally grows in Madagascar,
Exactly.
but people are exporting it for furniture
It's like
or whatever.
Redwood here in the US, the
Right.
value, it's really precious wood. And the second country is Germany, and the third country is United States. And that was why we work with colleagues from Michigan State University to block the outside market. But that was hard because it was corruption at high level. And if you try to block, to speak up, outspoken about this kind of corruption, your life is really put in danger. And a few months ago, we had a serious workshop talking about how can you help. Lanceur d'alerte in French is like people talk about this report, illegal act, but you are not safe. People can be killed, and that's already happened. Yeah. They kill people who report what the mayor or high authority, they can kill you. You live in a very remote areas, and there is no connection, and by the time you die. So these kind of threats often happen to people who doing the job, because it seems like you disturb their business. You disturb their business, and they don't want you, so they try to. For me, well, as I have strong connection with people from outside of Madagascar, with the embassy, seems like apparently I am kind of okay, safe. But how about the other people who do not have that connection, that protection? And that is why it is a really common fight. And I'm not saying that all of the people in the government are bad, but there are some people. But the thing is, I would say the bad guys still kind of winning, but we will defeat them. We will defeat them. That's our challenge.
This is Wild World. After a quick break, we'll talk about the future of Madagascar's lemurs.
To support this Wild World podcast, please check out Autio. It's an app that gives you amazing stories told by some of the world's best storytellers, such as John Lithgow, Phil Jackson, and Kevin Costner, and it's uniquely curated based on your location. It's a perfect audio travel companion for any road trip or just learning more about a trip you want to take. Click on the link in our show notes for more information.
This is Wild World. I'm Scott Solomon, and I'm speaking with Dr. Jonah Ratsimbazafy. What does access to healthcare have to do with protecting lemurs?
You know what? Conservation is always difficult when people get little access to healthcare, education, and food. Healthcare, why? Because the local community are our partners. If you have weak, sick partners, you cannot be collaborator. And that is kind of one thing, that is kind of something that you show, but you care of them, rather than just the lemurs. You cannot be in a village. I was witnessing two children died because there is no doctor in the village. By the time that they brought the kids to the town, the little kids died. So you cannot say that I am here because of the lemurs, but I don't care of the people. But your partners, we need their help. If they work for you as a guide, as partners, as we do our work together with the local community. Because sometimes people suggest that, why don't you buy the land? And you're said, it doesn't work like that in Madagascar. It doesn't work like that. Like you, like me, they want to worry about their future. And what is their future? Their land. The land is their future. So, healthcare, and I am so happy, so pleased to Houston Zoo. Someone, a very generous women, send us money for kids, for the people. Trust me, when we brought doctor to the field, up to midnight, long line for people. Some people are there, big wound on their legs. Some people are sick for many months, and then because that is what they want. They want to be having good health like us. They do not have any insurance, and that is how can you build also the relationship. Of course, when I work with the local community, myself, we want to work in a spirit of collaboration, not in a spirit of dependence. Because when you work in that spirit of dependence, that raises expectation, and you'll be in trouble if you don't get any more your fundings. But, like for example, in Manumbu, in addition to the health activities, we also have reforestation, beautiful nursery. 3 years ago, the beautiful nursery was collapsed because of cyclone. If what it was in the past, many years ago, I was really worried. It was just completely, 90% of our nursery was really destroyed. But I did not worry because why? Because the foundation is all there. Materials could be destroyed, but the people hearts, love is not easily disturbed. And that is what you have to build. And everywhere, if possible, people can go on their own. You cannot always assist them. That is not the best way of working with the local community and to save the lemurs. If they can, we send someone expert for farming so they can improve their yield, their production, so they don't have to go to the first harvest. They can locally improve their yields, and at the same time, when the tourists come, they can sell their products. And that's what you're doing now. That is what you call sustainable ecotourism. Everybody has to get their part, not just the guides, not just the big hotel, not just the big agency. So if a local community get money, and that is already happening in Madagascar, in Anja, because of the ringtail lemurs, people could build a school, build hospital, and that is the goal. And you are saving the lemurs while helping people. Yes.
So, I mean, your passion is very clear, and it's really impressive, all the work that you've done and been involved in, and you're talking about all these collaborations that you're fostering, and certainly it looks like you've had a lot of successes. I want to ask, though, what would happen if lemurs disappeared?
Madagascar is an island of lemurs. I don't mean say that Madagascar is just important for the lemurs, but it's an island of the lemurs. If the lemurs are no longer in Madagascar, tourists won't come to Madagascar to see deforestation. So Madagascar will drastically lose money, and that will affect our economy. And if that affects the economy, that means that poverty, and if you are poor, and of course that will create many social problems, insecurity, people don't have job, people may kill each other. And that's happened already in some area. There is no job. People don't want to come to insecure place, and we have problem of the water drought, so no electricity, and people don't want to invest. So that will affect straight away your economy. That will also affect your celebrity. I mean, the Madagascar is unique because of its biodiversity, and at the international level, look at people want to go to France to see the study, to Eiffel Tower, to Egypt. You lose our specificity, our species.
Yeah, the reputation.
The reputation, bad reputation, and that is not good. That is not good for us. So reputation, money. And if there is no forest left in the and the fertility of the soil is gone. So if that is happen, and of course, that have a bad consequence to your health, to the food. Right now we are talking about this climate change, and Madagascar is among the most vulnerable of climate change. So that will may happen if you don't care of today. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to even talk about that. That is reality. If you don't do it today, that is, I kept saying, the next 10 years is crucial. It's crucial. There are people, they do not understand that. They only just what they have today. But think of tomorrow. 35 years is tomorrow. No forest left. Yep. So let's find an alternative to improve our agriculture. Last year, I was the guest speaker in Gaborone at the United Nations Climate Change Forum. It's an international forum, hundreds and hundreds of people. And it was discussed during the forum that China, the Asian country, may reduce the rice that they export to Africa, like Senegal, Tanzania, Kenya imported more than 60% of their rice. And if India or Bangladesh say that we won't give you any more rice, what's going to happen? And I was thinking to Madagascar. We still have a big, vast land, but we don't use it. You should think of how can we, improve and produce our food here. Thank God, but we still have big land in Madagascar, but that may happen, and that is because of climate change. They don't get enough rain, and their production begins to decrease, and that will and very safe. You can do that in Madagascar. You can, make people's safe life, and if you want to talk about tourism, you want tourism to come to visit your country, but there is insecurity, people won't come. Even they want to see the lemurs. That doesn't work like that. So it's possible. The solutions are there. Let's get start. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I love that message and the work that you've done with local communities in Madagascar, with education and access to healthcare. It's really impressive and it's important. I'm wondering, for people who aren't in Madagascar, for those of us who, people who are listening to this who care about lemurs and care about the people of Madagascar as well and maybe want to make a difference, what can they do?
Well, there's something that we can do. Like, as I said, partnership. There are people, I know, and that's my case, the people who support us, many people who support us at Houston Zoo, many of them have never been in Madagascar. But there are lemurs here at the zoo. They know what's happened to the lemurs right now in Madagascar. They are endangered, and they support the zoo. And the zoo support us. So there are many ways of you can help each other. Here at Houston Rice University, there are students doing research. And that means that they do their PhD research here to understand the biodiversity of Madagascar. For me, for us as a manager of the forest, good management should be based on good research. And we know this technology much advanced in the States. And that is one of the reasons I am here to discuss about the collaboration between researchers in Madagascar and researchers here at Rice University. That could be done through sending study abroad students. And that is possible. And we just discussed about that. And we'll get started next year to have study abroad students from Rice University to come to Madagascar and to interact with Malagasy students, because we have to prepare the next generation to continue for the future. So there are many ways. It's not always just money. Technology, knowledge, sharing experiences, that could be already a big help. Meeting with the faculty like you, Dr. Scott, that is already a big help. And we can keep that collaboration because of what? Because you are dedicated to saving these endangered species, because we are the voice of those who have no voice. And that is what you're doing now. And I hope that we can be a good model for the rest of the world. Because one example of that good model, GERP is an association, conservation association. And in Madagascar, there is a very good guy. He's a director of a transportation company. Transportation and conservation and people. And what I did, I came to him. I know he's one of the best transportation company. And I saw how he's very professional. And they said, I appreciate your work. And he also appreciated, he knew me. And why don't we work together? But how? Let's do reforestation together. So the GERP staff and the transportation staff, we went together to Marmizat to plant trees. And we want to use that model for the other NGO, for example, Conservation International or WWF or WCS, and other transportation company to do the same things. If you all do that, Madagascar is getting greener. Green and green and green, green. So there is always a way that we can collaborate, but we can help each other rather than, just assisting the damage. That's not the solution. Everyone needs to be an actor rather than a simple spectator, and we can do that. And that's our job. Yes.
Well, what a great message, and thank you so much for all of your work, and thank you for being here on Wild World. Jonah Ratsimbazafy, thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's it for this episode. To learn more about the work that Jonah Ratsimbazafy is doing to protect lemurs in Madagascar, check out the show notes where we have links to the websites for GERP, the Madagascar Primate Study and Research Group at the University of Antananarivo, as well as a link where you can make donations to support their efforts. We also have links to the websites for the International Primatological Society and to the Houston Zoo's Madagascar program. If you enjoy listening to Wild World, be sure to follow us on social media. We share photos, bonus content, and updates that you don't want to miss. Please consider leaving a rating or review as well. We would love to hear any ideas you have for new episodes. What wild place would you like to learn more about? Send your ideas, questions, and comments to us at info@wildworldshow.com. This episode of Wild World was produced by 3Wire Creative. I'm Scott Solomon. Join me next time as we explore another part of our wild world.